stick.
You guys don't hang on white fish guard all day? I wish.
Which I may have this way too.
You're in gear, buddy.
Right.
It's a nice photo. Good looking group you got there. Ready? Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the June 6th Board of Commissioner meeting to order. Today, we're going to start out with a prayer from Commissioner Sarkella and the pledge from Commissioner Heberling.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather in a free country. We ask that you will be with us in our meeting to help us make wise decisions and continue to serve our fellow citizens. We especially pray for Commissioner Ballard and his family's loss. We ask that you would be with them in their time of mourning and give them strength and courage. And we ask that you also, Lord, would send rain much needed for our farmers and our growers. And all of this we do in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Black,
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard,
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberling,
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Sarkella,
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee. Here. District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Here.
District 7 Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie. We do have one addition for today's agenda. It is a person for the appointment to the Sand Lake Transportation Board. I'll entertain a motion to adopt today's agenda with that one amendment. I'll make a motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Ehart. I have support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our agenda is officially adopted. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from our May 16th meeting. Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You would have received your correspondence through email the other day. We'll move into commissioner reports and we will start with Commissioner Ballard.
I missed the Argyle meeting. I attended the Evergreen meeting on May 23rd. Their discussion was about road brining. They had a couple of zoning ordinances they amended, and that was about it. On the 30th, I had that's a later report, excuse me. Last night I was at the City of Marlette meeting. They approved their 2023-24 budget. Had discussion on the swimming pool in the park. And Chief Brian McGinnis presented life-saving awards to Officer Jeremy Christenberry and resident Stephanie Loeffler. Officer Christenberry was called out to residents of an unresponsive male laying in a front yard in May and started CPR. And Stephanie Loeffler, who is also in the health business, heard the commotion and came out and assisted. And they provided the guy CPR for over 7 minutes, and he did recover, and he has no recollection of that, but very grateful. And so they definitely went above and beyond. That's about it.
Thank you, Roger.
Yep.
Gary?
I don't have a very lengthy one at all. In fact, I'm going to keep it short, but I'm back on 2 feet again. And my nephew got married Saturday night and I danced with my wife. So I guess I passed the test. So
Yeah. Good news.
You couldn't even dance before, could you?
quite frankly, I still can't dance.
Thanks, Gary. Bill?
Buell Township's working on gravel and brine. There's been some supply issues, obviously, with gravel. They're going to be paving their parking lot, and they have a unique situation down there. Trailer park tax issues. So the big trailer park that's near them, the park owners own the property, but the homes are individual, so they get tax statements on all of it. So they've been trying to straighten that out because some of them are $3, $2 back taxes, and it costs more to try to collect it than it does to actually get the funding from that. And then they're working on a wind solar ordinance as well. And just amends the trailer park tax issues. Trudy's been very helpful to them in getting that in order. Carsonville's got to pass their lagoon slug test, and the water well project's moving forward. And their fire department's got a new testing device, and then they completed their audit And then Applegate, last night, they paid off their roof units that were damaged. And they're going to be looking at some zoning classes. And of course, the property blight issue that we've been working with, we're kind of getting a education trial by fire, so to speak, as we go through that process with the land bank. We didn't make this round, but they're still going to be looking at possibly getting it next time. There's some issues with ownership, but it sounds like they're going to be able to move that forward. It's just a matter of when. So
in that land bank and that blight issue, as you guys work through that, are you kind of building a roadmap on how we would deal with that in the future? So that it's a little bit easier to bring something like that off the ground?
exactly, yeah, mostly dealing with property ownership and how that gets moved forward, because then the land bank can take over the operation of everything for them, and then it gets reverted back to the village or municipality. So it's a process we have to go through. But yeah, it'll be beneficial to the community that have a need in that regards.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Bill. Christine?
I attended the PEC council meeting, and they're gonna do the free summer movies once a month in the park. And Elk Township talked about the brine on the road, and the fire department got a few new fire equipment, just small stuff. One is a belt to help lift assist, and new markers for when traffic and stuff. And then I'm going to change the subject a little bit. I had the honor of working at the state track meet, and 10 athletes from Sanilac County placed at the state meet. Croslex Alva Thompson was 7th in the 1600 with a time of 5:04.31. Deckerville Aubrey Muller was 6th in the pole vault with a height of 9 feet 3 inches. Marlette pole vault. Logan Mallory was 2nd with a height of 13 feet. Tyler Isadora 5th in the pole vault, 13 feet. Alexandra Finby 5th with a height of 8 feet 9 inches. And the shot put, Lily Parker was 2nd of a throw of 38 feet 8 inches. And then we end up with 4 state champs for our county. It was 2 girls and 2 boys. Deckerville Rebecca Muller pole vault went a height of 10 feet 6 inches and set a new school record. Marlette Olivia Finlay won the high jump at 5 foot 4 inches, and she also placed 6th in the long jump at 16 feet 8.5 inches. And then for boys, Kyle Affer from Brown City won the shot put of 49 feet 2 inches, and he won by a half an inch, and it was a personal record. And then his cousin from Tech, Alex Affer, defended his 2022 title in the long jump by winning this year the long jump, and he jumped 23 feet 4 inches, setting a new D4 state track record, and that was his personal record too. So we had a fine outing at our state meet from our county.
That's great news. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, you drove a lot further than I can.
I mean, he just flew.
Very good. Thank you, Christine. I had some phone conversations with some Delaware and Marion Township officials related to roads. That's really all I have. Evans?
I wasn't able to go to the Lexington Council meeting this past month, but I did catch up with a council member. They're still working on trying to find a city manager for the town. And that's obviously still ongoing. And the bridge in Croswell will be done. I don't know yet. That's still PBA. I know. I wanted to build you guys up and break you down.
I'm here sometime in August.
Last time I heard was Father's Day, and that's coming next week. So I doubt that.
Yeah, they have to let it sit for 28 days with nobody doing anything to it.
Yeah.
Before they can do their testing.
Really?
So for 28 days, it just sits there.
That's secure cement, just 28 days. Yeah.
So that's coming up.
But I know you guys are
Starting in 28 days.
That's why.
Thank you, Evan.
All right, I went to the Fremont Planning Commission meeting. They have set their dates for their special land use public hearing, which is gonna be the week of July 10th. As of right now, the week of July 10th, the Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of that week. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that's on their wind project. And I went to Melvin last night, and They had some public comment there on the windmill project also, and they just took care of a few small business things, and they were able to finally get their well fixed.
That's good. Thanks, John. Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Yeah, thank you. So first thing, health department building, for the finance meeting today, we'll be talking about replacement of the HVAC units. Another topic of the health department building has been the windows and the siding of that. The drive-out siding is deteriorating. When you get up closer, it's actually in some places coming off the building. Windows are leaking over there. So I went over yesterday. Nick Lusher, our building and grounds supervisor, met me over there. We walked around, met with the local contractor, discussed some things, and Nick's got some RFPs ready to be put out for removal of the siding, removal and replacement of the windows, and then somebody to come in and then reside, replace the drive-in siding. So that'll be coming out. Had a conference last week. It was a county administrators conference. It was very good to get the opportunity to meet a lot of folks. Some have been doing it very long, some maybe not so long. Hear the stories they face in their roles, some of the challenges that other counties are going through. Very, very interesting situations going on statewide. One of the counties there noted they have a 6 p.m. kickoff time for their meetings. And I guess the week of the conference, they got done with their meeting just after 2 a.m. due to public comments. So it's a county that's kind of riddled with there's a lot of controversy and a lot of things going on. So it was over a 6-hour meeting with I guess a lot of public comment. And so we're fortunate here. I guess I'll say that.
You're not setting us up for anything.
Yeah, I said 2 a.m. I said
doing 6-hour meetings. So.
Yeah, and I told them, I said 2 a.m. At what point do you need like a coffee break or something? I mean, how do people? But statewide septic legislation. I don't know how much you guys have followed this, how much you've heard about it. There is a push going through Lansing to try to get inspections regularly on septic tanks. I think the big concern is we're the Great Lakes state, and what are we doing to make sure we're preserving and protecting the water around us? We're one of the few states that do not have regular inspections. I did talk to Bryant over at the health department. He's aware of this coming down. I think the hope was maybe more of a point of sale inspection. The problem is when homes don't sell, they can go years without an inspection. And I think that's the concern from the lawmakers, is that, are these up to code? Are these, how much seepage and things are taking place, I guess, and getting into our public waterways. So that's something we'll see, I think, moving forward. We met with some employees. I know Evans and John, we met this morning with some of our employees, strategizing some plans with or discussing some plans to strategize our insurance plan moving forward. We're going to meet again in August and see what we can do to try to figure out ways to make our health plan better for our employees, more affordable for our employees. So we're looking at all options for that. And lastly, I just wanted to thank the board and the employees of the county. Made it through my first year. The end of May was my 1-year anniversary with the county. Excited to say it's been a whirlwind of a year, but it's been a great year. Everybody's been very welcoming. It's been great to work with you guys, great to work with the employees and the public, and really enjoyed myself. So thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. Nathan brought up that meeting that we had with the employees related to the insurance. I think one good thing that's came out of that is that the employees are paying a lot closer attention, and they're seeing that there's more options available for them than what maybe they thought. So good report, Nathan. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to entertain public comments pertaining to the agenda today. Are there any public comments pertaining to today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to interviews for Sand Lake Transportation Local Advisory Board. Stacy is unavailable. Is Ray Ann Kreiner here?
No, she's not.
Okay, and Kelly Palig. Kim Thompson, I see you're here. Kim, if you'd like to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm the only one that's here today. Okay, I am a lifelong county resident. My name is Kimberly Norton Thompson. Anybody who's ever been in Carsonville School District, knew my mom probably had her in fourth grade. I'm a retired teacher. And I have had experience with your transportation and I love it. It's so nice to have it available. I was a job coach for a while with Michigan Works. And one of the things I had to do was set it up so that people that I was working with could get their GED. And they needed transportation to get to the school and then home again. And I have a granddaughter who goes to ISD daily during the school year and she rides the transportation. So I just feel like I could be a very good fit for it.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you for being here, Kim. The last one on the list is Nancy Fizak. Is she here today? Oh, okay.
I'd like to say that Rayanne Kreener, we just appointed her last month. And then, because we needed to fill that hole and then,
So we?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks familiar.
Okay, well, that will conclude our interviews. At this time, we have a 2-year appointment expiring 6/1/25. With those 5 names, I'll entertain a motion.
I make that motion that we appoint those.
Support. Okay, you make a motion to appoint all 5?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Lee to appoint all 5 names. I have support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, all appointed. Congratulations. At this time, we have a partial 3-year term for District 3 on the Council on Aging. I'll entertain a motion to appoint Linda Dumont with a term expiring 12/31/20.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein.
I'll support.
We have support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Linda is appointed. I see no need for 14. There are no general resolutions, so that will take us into committee reports, and we will start with Commissioner Moody.
I have no report. I have a Michigan work this coming Friday.
I had a HDC just the day after our last meeting. Pretty much everything you guys already know about weight limits on a lot of services for elderly. And they're doing their best to work, get more funding to reach more people out there for their funds and stuff. So they're working on it. That's all I got for that.
Thank you, Evans. I'm not going to go over every meeting I've been in because we'd be here for the rest of the day. We'd have a 6-hour meeting. But one meeting I will talk about that happened this morning, Nathan and I met with a group from the Blue Water Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. And this ties into the concept of us trying to look at economic development opportunities, what's available, what should we be involved in, what not. And this would be something that is what we learned today would be a no cost to the county. They're going to go back and do some more research and bring it back to us. But essentially what it is they're trying to brand and advertise the Thumb Coast. So from St. Clair all the way up to the tip of the thumb, so helping Huron County, St. Louis County, and St. Clair County. They have a really excellent website, really good brochures, pretty impressive stuff they're putting out. They're partnered up with Pure Michigan, so this stuff's being advertised across the state. So hopefully, I would say within a couple of months, we should have some more information about what the opportunities there are. So I guess that's all I have. Christine?
I have no committee reports.
Bill?
Transportation, they've got 1 new van finally. Current fleet is 15 buses, 3 vans, supposed to be 15 new buses coming, but it was, 2 years ago, now it's 2 more years. So we'll see what happens. They're on order. Staffing levels have been good for them. Scheduling such things as music in the park, arts and homecoming. So they do a lot of community service besides just providing transportation locally. And then Mac Ag and Tourism sat in on that yesterday. So ironically enough, there was discussion about the septics a little bit in regards to that. Obviously, with anything, they're hoping that there'll be some funding provided for that. They want to put a mandate out that you got to inspect the septics, but who's going to pay for the staffing that needs to be done for that? We updated the Ag and Tourism platform for the coming year. And then there was discussion on the revenue sharing. They're trying to get the state to make a trust fund. So then it's not a discussion every year. 1 year it's 5%. There was discussion of 17%, and now it looks like they're going to be sitting at 8%. But the big push is going to be to create that trust fund independent of anything else. So they can't be going in and tapping it for other needs moving forward. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill.
What's the
Gary?
timeline in that? They have any timeline in that, Bill?
Yeah, they're hoping that the trust fund will be done this year.
Oh, great.
That'd be a way of providing some consistency
Yes.
to the system.
I just have one thing. Nathan and I attended the steering committee for the master plan we're putting together by the team. And we went through probably the final stages of it back on May 18th. Seems like months ago, but it's only a couple weeks ago. And I believe we really got a perfect master plan. We're going to go back through it. Ramon brings it back with a couple minor changes and things we talked about. And then we're going to approve that to steering committee and then take that to planning commission. And then it comes to the board of commissioners. I have that in regular. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. The steering committee, as I've said many times, has done a great job. I know, John, you've attended a few of those meetings and you're part of our county planning commission. I think it's taken some time to do it, but we did it and did it right. And I think we're going to have a good product when it comes out.
Very good. Thank you, Gary. Roger?
I attended a community mental health meeting on the 30th. They're continuing to implement CCBHC policies. That's the $1 million grant they got. There's a lot of guidelines to that, and they're trying to make sure they do everything, get all their I's dotted and T's crossed. All the iPads that went out to law enforcement and first responders have been distributed, and they've actually ordered more. They'll probably be up around 100 of those. And what that does is enable these people to have immediate contact with somebody from CMH in the event of a situation where somebody's having a mental breakdown, basically. So that's a good deal. Parks, we meet tonight. On the 17th of May, I attended the Cass River Greenway meeting in Vassar. These people meet periodically. There are DNR officials there, township officials. Tom Lounsbury is an outdoor writer that's on the radio. You might hear him. He's there. There's probably about 25 people in the group. And they kind of oversee the Cass River Water Trail and keeping the river clean. This year, their focus is going to be on cleaning up some of the rustic launch sites along the Cass River Water Trail. And they're pretty excited about the kayak launch coming to Evergreen Park. I actually had a friend that was on the Cass River twice last week. The one day he went north or northeast. The other day he went to the west. He said it was great going up to the north. I actually thought it was better going the other way, which is what I've been told. But he got up there and there was a fawn swimming across the river and a heron flew over its head and scared it. He said that was quite a sight to see, and saw a couple of eagles. And he said it was a nice, relaxing trip up to Cass River.
Did he put in at Evergreen Park?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge addition for people to
Yeah,
have somewhere to put in. And
Yeah, that
Sure is.
they've been excited about it at this meeting I go to for ever since I started talking about it.
And even without the launch there's nothing precluding anybody from going and throwing a canoe, a paddleboard, a kayak in the water there at the park and
Right.
utilizing it.
A lot of people do.
That's good.
Yep. That's all I got.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate everyone's committee reports. I see no need for unfinished business. That'll take us into new business. And we will start with FA 081-23, approval of 2023 current claims.
Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2023 identified on the accounts payable report dated May 30th, 2023 for the general bank account in the amount of $274,838.31.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 082-23, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments, transfers, and establishes the following accounts as listed.
Support. Motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Huberling. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 083-23, approval of contractual law enforcement services.
Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a non-expiring agreement for contractual law enforcement services between Elk Township and the Santa County Sheriff's Office, and further authorizes the board chairman sign the agreement.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarchellis, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 084-23, authorization to purchase and dispose of vehicle.
Kennesaw County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the Building and Grounds Department purchase a 2017 Ford F-250 XLT pickup from the drain office at a cost not to exceed $30,000 with funding from the motor pool fund, and further authorizes the 2009 Ford F-150 pickup be disposed of through outright auction of Vassar, and all proceeds of the sale be deposited into the motor pool fund.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarchellis, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 085-23, authorization to purchase bulletproof glass, friend of the court.
Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the purchase of bulletproof glass for the front window at the front of the court office from Advanced Auto Glass and More at a cost not to exceed $5,500. Funding from the front of the court budget with reimbursement of 66% through the state of Michigan Title 4-D programs.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarchellis, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 086-23, authorization for equipment upgrade 911 dispatch.
Santa County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes additional equipment for upgrading the Great Lake Bay 911 Consortium through Net Source One at a cost not to exceed $16,475.50 with funding from the 911 millage.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarchellis, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That concludes new business. At this time, we'll entertain general public comments. Are there any general public comments today?
Betty Jo Krosnicki, MSU Extension.
Could you please come up to the podium? Thank you.
Betty Jo Krosnicki, MSU Extension. Today I wanted to introduce our new employee in the Extension office, Mary Gilbert, who is our new community nutrition instructor. And I want to give her a moment that she can talk a little bit about the programming she'll be doing here in Santa County.
Hi, it's nice to meet everybody. I'm happy to be within my position at MSU Extension. Roundabout way, I went to MSU for college. So that was great. Anyways, so kind of backstory on me outside of my position. I did graduate from Croslex High School in 2013, made my way to MSU, graduated from there, traveled to Tennessee to do my internship, stayed there for a while, made my way to Texas, worked on a ranch where we did guided horseback tours on Paladaro Canyon. Have to look it up, it's great. And so I got this position. I started on May 10th, and essentially what my job will be as a community nutrition instructor is to give free programming to people within the community that are SNAP eligible, and in the guidelines of the top 30 within the income requirements. I'll be trained in a various amount of curriculums of my choosing. I just finished training for Cooking for One that is specifically for people that are living alone or family of two. And so I'll be programming also with Senior Project Fresh. I'm in charge of distributing coupons. We actually did receive our coupons this past Friday. And I have 4 to 5 meetings already set up for distribution. Is there any questions that I can answer from anybody about my position?
Any questions for her? See any?
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further public comments today? Cole? Welcome.
Give a little bit of a legislative update if that's all right.
Sure.
So usually I go over a bunch of different bills that are coming down the line. This time I just wanted to focus on one. It's been a pretty hot topic. We've been getting a lot of questions regarding the debt limit bill. So at least I did vote yes on it. She doesn't believe it's a perfect bill. I just wanted to go through some of the things inside it, if that's all right.
Yep.
All right, so some of the things that it does is it reduces federal spending for fiscal year 2024, as well as discretionary spending, caps the limit at $1.59 trillion. That's $886 billion for defense and $704 billion for non-defense, which has been cut by 12 billion, but it's the first time in more than a decade that that's happened. We're actually decreasing the spending level for next year, which I haven't really seen in my lifetime. The total spending limit is 110 below the Congressional Budget Office baseline and 105 billion below the president's fiscal year 2024 budget. Some of the more specifics affects student loans. It stops the moratorium and restarts payments as well as interest. Back in, I believe it was March 2020, as everybody knows, they stopped basically requiring you to pay back your student loans. Every month that those were skipped, $4.3 billion was added to the taxpayer tab. And here we are 41 months later, and $176 billion has been added that is still owed just from that time, which is
Cool. On the repayment, the payments that weren't made over the last couple of years, those aren't wiped away. They're simply restarting the payment schedule after this bill takes effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so they'll just be restarting the payment. You won't have to pay all that back at once.
gotcha.
Because I imagine that most people wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
Was there interest added on at that time?
The interest
The whole
was-
time, like the months that they weren't paying?
No, there was a moratorium on the interest as well as the payment. So they basically just have to restart where they were at with their payments. And schedules kicked a little bit down the road. We sent some COVID and IRS funds, 28 billion in obligated funding, in unobligated funding, sorry, from COVID spending bills, as well as 1.39 billion slashed from the IRS, which is the amount that they plan to use to hire the new agents. The COVID funding, I wanted to be specific here too, because I know you guys got some ARPA money and some COVID money as well. None of that's being retracted in any way. It's just anything that hasn't been obligated. So we still had 28 billion just sitting in a fund that nobody had done anything with. So that's all that's being rescinded. It's not going to affect the county in any way.
You mentioned about funding for IRS. Are they still moving forward with hiring all the extra IRS people?
No, this is rescinding the funding to.
Oh, really? Resending, okay.
Yeah, sorry. So we're taking
I
back.
misunderstood you, yeah.
There is still some money going back to the IRS. I don't have the exact amount. But I don't believe they can use that for hiring new agents. I think it's more for maintenance at the moment. I'll get to some more changes we can make down the line too. There's an executive branch funding offset. So before any spending can be finalized, a written notice and budget estimate has to be provided to Congress, and then Congress has to vote on any rule changes that are going to have a large impact. A level of impact is $100 million a year or $1 billion over 10 years. So any rule that's going to make that effect, which I know sounds like a lot of money, but I mean, that's $2 million per state. That adds up really quick. So really small rule changes can be dismissed or disapproved. And I guess recently there was one too with the Waters of the United States, which I don't think I went over with last time I was here. The EPA versus SACIT. They ruled in favor of SACIT, which rescinds the EPA's Waters of the United States rule, which is a big issue for farmers. The new rule was 455 pages long, and it was pretty detrimental to farmers. This is aside from this, just realized I should probably add that on too. So now EPA has to go back to the drawing board and come back with a new Waters of the United States rule. That just refers to navigable waterways. Obviously, it's a big factor here in Michigan, particularly. But it primarily affects agriculture. But along with the executive branch funding offset, any increase, I think of the exact phrase, it's called the pay-go. So if the FBI wants to increase $100 million, they have to cut $100 million from their budget elsewhere. So it's called the pay-go act. That's what we got in there. So any type of increase in spending has to be met with an offset with cutting spending.
But how are they going to grow their departments like that?
It'll be interesting to see. They'll have to try a different route. And there was a stipulation in there, no new taxes for the next 4 years as well, no increase. So hopefully we can help keep some of these in check. There is another bill coming to the floor this week that's it kind of expands on it, called the REINS Act. That'll be voted on either tomorrow or Thursday. Just check the floor schedule and they might be switching it. But I don't have all the information for that one in front of me, but it's essentially along the same lines, just causes more reductions. Work requirements have been changed for able-bodied adults. recess the TANF, the temporary assistance for needy families, recess their funds and fill some of the budget holes in the system. So previously they had a 12% discretionary fund that they could use kind of as a margin of error for needy families who, needed to be on food stamps or any other types of assistance. But the problem was that the states could roll those over year to year. So it could be 12% last year, 12% this year, and 12% next year, and they end up with a 36% discretionary fund. We rolled that back so that way there's no more rollover. And it's 8% across the board. So now every state just gets an 8% discretionary. It's kind of a margin of error for any assistance programs. That'll still probably be changed a little bit, the coming farm bill. The CBO was estimating, I think it was 868 billion just in SNAP requirements on the food side of the farm bill is what it's estimated to cost. There hasn't been a full farm bill released, even a draft, so I don't know the specifics of what's going to come. Some of the environmental time reviews have been shortened. So there's a maximum for 1 year for environmental impact assessments and 2 year for maximum environmental impact statements. This is kind of a bigger issue with the executive branch and some overreach that they've done with putting moratoriums on things like federal leasing for oil drilling. This basically just caps it so that way if the president puts a moratorium on it in a year, they still have to make up their mind. They still have to push it either yes or no, basically, and come back to the drawing board and say it's environmentally friendly. It's not. What exactly all the issues are. It's kind of a shot clock for it, if you will. There's also a program in there to expedite federal permitting for infrastructure projects that's built into that as well. And my personal favorite, all 12 appropriation bills have to be passed separately by the end of the fiscal year. And if they don't, there's a 1% budget cut across the entire federal government, across all 12 appropriations, the entire government. So that was Thomas Massey's amendment they added in there, and I'm pretty excited for that one to be going through. At least I am. Just one more quick thing I wanted to add too. We do have the district office, the remote one up and running in Marlette. I'm at the township hall on Mondays if anybody has any issues. And I'm working with Nathan as well. Hopefully by the end of this month, be able to figure out. I think the last Wednesday of the month, I'll be over at the county emergency building once we get everything finalized. So if anybody has any casework or any other issues, I know Miss Denise Jones has come up and saw me a couple times already. But I think that's all I've got for right now, unless you guys had any.
I have one question, and probably not here to talk about it. We've got thousands, close to millions now coming across the southern border. What budget's coming out of that to bus these people all over America and buy them phones and planes and put them in hotels? And I guess the second part of that question is, any of that been cut? So the first part is, what budget's that coming out of, other than the taxpayers are funding free money to these illegal aliens?
That would come through the NDAA, through the DHS.
What's that? Okay.
Basically through the Department of Defense. Our Department of State is kind of the
budget cut?
agency. Don't believe that budget was actually increased through the defense budget. There was I don't have the number. I think it was something like 4 or 5 billion was increased for the defense budget. But on the DHS front, there has been letters of impeachment submitted for Alejandro Mayorkas. It's actually Lisa's bill. Don't know what committee it's in right now. I want to say judiciary, but we had, I think, 56 co-sponsors, somewhere around there. So there's a fairly good chance that the one who's, I gotta say it the correct way, the one who is causing a lot of the issues may be out of there soon. That may be saying some positive change. As far as the specific budget, though, I don't have that in front of me, but I can follow up with you.
So they've moved money from somewhere else, the defensive budget, to keep funding this, and really, right? Is that what you're saying?
Not to fund any of those programs. I just meant for the overall defense. I don't know specifically.
I didn't expect you to have all the answers. I want to bring it up because it's on the news every day, right?
Yeah. I'll see if I can get an exact number for you, if there's any cuts specifically to that. And if there's any changes coming through for that. I know the biggest one is just that we're trying to impeach him right now.
Yeah.
But I'll get back with you with an exact number. Any other questions?
I think Nicole, we appreciate you giving us an update and providing us an opportunity to ask a few questions.
No problem.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Is there any further public comments today?
I wouldn't take some.
Interesting to listen to you. My name is Diane Ferguson and I am a resident of Sand Lake County. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. A big topic also that's going around is China coming in and taking up the farmland, but the solar panels, I do not support solar panels. Individually, yes, but not large solar farms. And China owns 5G technology. So they've been around here for a while. And 5G technology directly plays a part with smart cities and C40 cities. And if you don't know what those are, I suggest you look them up. And I asked my township trustees for several months, could you tell me what the definition, the acronym of SMART stands for? And they said there's not been a word created yet for the acronym. And well, that's a little backwards, isn't it? Because we didn't create Federal Bureau of Investigation before and said it's FBI, right? I mean, acronym comes later. But for several months, no one could explain to me what SMART stands for. Yet I see smart tech, I guess it was, maybe I'm wrong on that last word. These little signs going up all around Sand Lake County. A water town, right there at M19 and Marlette Road. As soon as you turn on 19 off of Marlette, there's a sign that says welcome to Watertown Township. And right underneath it, it says smart rule. That's what it says, SMART rule. And then over here in Moore Township, they're there too. And well, what investigation I have done in research spells SMART stands for surveillance, monitoring, analysis, reporting technology. I don't think the people of this community is going to tolerate being surveillance, monitored, reported, and technology through the 5G, which also has a link, which will be done through the Highline. Now, Highline came to my area. They have a 50-foot easement off the front of the middle of the road where I live. One day I found a little box in my front yard, burning out the ditches, the husband and I. And we did some investigating as to where this box came from and what was it and all this. And it was much further than 50-foot easement onto our property. It was closer to 75 foot up the middle of the road that they came into our property. After a long search and the courthouse and road commissioner and everything else, and my own township supervisor, we came to the conclusion that it was Highline. The head came to somebody, I think I maybe spoke with you, Mr. Black, up here that day in the hallway. And I called Highline here a couple of days ago and last week, and I asked them some questions, and I asked them, are you connected to the smart tech? Now, Highline's at my house now. But Highline's about on its way out. Because I'll go without internet. I'll go without smartphone. I have no problem going right back to the old days. Because that's where I'm from anyway. So, and if I need it, I can go to the library and get it. And I was told Not just yet, but we're hoping to. So it's all intertwined. When you look up C40 cities, you're going to find things like it's going to take 7 years to flatten the curve. What is it all based on? It's climate change. Now, in the 70s, I clearly remember them trying to push all that on us then. And they want us to stay restricted. Our movement restricted. Automobiles will no longer be, because trying to go to this electric, which we know it ain't gonna work. I mean, it's all global. Yet they're gonna be on their planes flying wherever they would like. That's about all I have with the smart cities. I'm not for it. No more than I am for the solar panels, which take over our farmland, cause health issues, food shortages, as if we're not in enough of that already. At one point, Sanilac County was the highest county for cancer in the state of Michigan. Then it jumped to St. Clair County. And I really hope that we do not find that it comes right back to Sanilac County again. One other thing I want to talk about while I'm up here, I want to talk about this opiate settlement.
Diane, we have a 3-minute limit on public comment, although there's been some latitude provided, but if you could please be brief.
Sure, I'll make it very brief. The war on drugs is a failed policy. We got an opiate settlement that was awarded here to this county, 15 years to spend the money. There has been a 25% reduction in opiate use in any place or state that had cannabis accessible. So I would encourage this board to set aside your bad feelings about cannabis, if you have any, and seriously take a look at cannabis being used for opiate rehabilitation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any further public comments today?
Hi, my name is Denise Jones, from Salem. I want to elaborate more on the smart city end of it. I did a lot of research on these smart cities, and they're doing it globally. And I don't think any of you initially went into this without, you might not have known everything behind this, what was going on. I have a thing here with websites that you can go to that will say right now in Oxford, there is the test city, what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're shutting down side streets. They're blocking off side streets. They are only allowing people to drive 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you go by that, you get fined. And they say within 3 to 5 years, they're going to have these smart cities, which is on the sign there, developed within 3 to 5 years. And it's pretty much surveillance everybody. And to me, everybody should have a right to know what they're being surveillanced on or what they're being watched on. And it's not even, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect your families. And there's an elite group of people that want to control population pretty much. And I wish you can go to this. There's a guy over there reporting on this, and he videotapes it, what's going on over in Oxford. And you'll see what's going on there is coming here. And I have 4 different videos, and there's even one from a 12-year-old girl that said, what was going on with her over there. And she said it's not fair to her to have to live that way in these cities. And I could sit here all day and try to explain this, but if you look at these videos and you watch what's going on with these smart cities, you'll understand why I'm up here and why I'm taking my time away from my family to try to help you guys and help the Sanilac County. I honestly believe a lot of you took the shiny red apple regarding getting money in for different things, helping out the community. And I don't believe you guys really knew what is behind this. And just, I pray that you guys just, watch these videos that I put on here.
And there's another one from justinbarclay.com. It's a podcast and it's from May 27th, which I wrote down in here. It's 85-minute long. So give yourself some time to watch it. And it's bigger than battery plants, exposing their plans to take over America. And it'll give you everything what the China is trying to do to take over our country right now. And if you watch these videos and you watch this, if you don't do a 180 in your way of thinking, I don't know what will. And one other thing I wanted to talk about, which I'll give you the information. I need 2 more copies. So if somebody could make copies for other people here, because I didn't realize how many were here. But as far as I have information regarding the windmills, and there's a short list of all the health effects and everything from it. There was just another fire in Ontario this past week. The windmill was 300 some feet tall. It was a fire in their nanocells. And they said that this happens about 1 every 10 years where they have issues with one of their windmills over there where it breaks down or catches fire or falls down or whatever. But the problem with these windmills is you can't put them out. You have to let it burn itself out. And you should have seen the smoke coming from this thing. I would have printed it out, but it was 17 pages long to show you what was going on in Ontario. I mean, the smoke from this thing went far down, and all these windmills contain oil, hydraulic fuel. How is that earth friendly? And the other problem is these blades contain PFAS, which anybody that knows these forever chemicals, they coat them on it for the, as far as for wind, if there's hail, dust, it's supposed to keep the windmills from breaking down. Well, it contains PFAS and they know that. And so when you have them catch on fire, and it happened in another county where it caught on fire and they tested the soil and they found that it contaminated the soil all down where the wind was blowing. It was like 6 families' homes that it contaminated the soil. And not only that, there was this one where a guy had to replace his well. This was in Rockford area. The PFAS got in his well, and it was going to cost him close to $50,000 to replace his well to clean up the feet. They had to go deep down to where the PFAS wasn't going to affect them. So if these windmills contaminate our well water, what are the people going to do? You know, they have to go so far down to be able to, and they've been 6 years without water now in some of these areas because it contaminated their soil. They have to have it hauled in. But let me get you this information. Sorry if I went over 3 minutes. Let's see.
I can make copies.
Okay, do you want to make copies of that one? Okay. And then this is the one with all the websites, and I pray to you guys that you watch this. And let me see here. I think that was it. It was just those 2. But thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any further public comments today? Seeing none?
I do have one. Is Lisa aware of any of this smart stuff what's been talked about? Do you have any comment?
I've talked with Denise about it. We have been monitoring it in the office. It's right now it's kind of more focused on China. That's kind of where a lot of the model that Ms. Jones is talking about. A lot of the smart city issue is, having things like social credit scores determine where you can and can't go. A project like what the Fed released Fed Now, where you have digital currency, so they can limit the amount of money that you have, they can track where you spend it, and that kind of all ties into your social credit score. That also ties into where you live and the amount of travel you can do. But it is a real thing, what she's talking about, but it's right now, I guess it's more in place in China would be the right way to say it. Yeah, there is some people trying for a lot of similarities here, but it's, I guess the model, if that makes sense.
I guess my question, we could talk about it forever and I don't want to hold it, but I would hope this don't take place in America. And I guess so my question is, can I finish,
I'm
please?
sorry.
Is Congress or senators doing anything about this or the legal arm of our?
The thing is, it's incredibly complex where it's at right now.
Sure.
So, it's a process even like for China, they went to a currency that they can track. That has happened here. The Federal Reserve has released Fed Now, which is a pilot program for a digital currency here in America, which was kind of China's first step. Maybe crossing some political lines.
Yeah, I don't want
As long as you guys are there. Yeah, so it kind of all ties into the same thing of just the government having more power over it. So once they get to the currency, they can track you in minute detail. And then it ties into the environment, ESGs. Lisa's actually having a hearing on this sometime this week, which is the environmental, social, and governance standards. That's how they do. That's how some people, trying to be politically correct, that's how some people or some forces in government are trying to use that to either expand their department or gain more control in some aspects. For instance, the ESGs they're talking about being applied mostly to banking right now. But that's obviously where most people get their funding. So they'll set different levels for how much carbon has to be sequestered, how much solar you have to invest in wind, things like that, just as examples. And from there, if you don't meet that criteria, they can either cut your funding, cut your tax breaks, things like that. I guess does that kind of answer your question as to how they?
Yeah, it does.
It all kind of goes back to the money, right? That's why we're trying to cut as much of that budget as we can. And it kind of goes back to the debt limit bill with the appropriation bills being scrutinized separately rather than an omnibus or a continuing resolution like we've done the past couple of years. Every dollar gets scrutinized. It's a lot easier to do that in 12 separate bills than it is in one huge 3,000 page bill. So it's, I guess, the direction that we're trying to fight against that. I can say that. Does that answer your question all right?
Yeah, it does. I just wanted, my sole question was, is our federal government aware these Chinese people are trying to take this over? And they're fighting back.
Yeah. Lisa's introduced several bills to stop foreign adversaries, mostly China, from, for instance, buying land here.
Yeah, that's something we found out here recently on how much property China owns in the United States.
Yeah,
it was a huge
insane
percent.
And there's a few reasons for that. One is their main claim is food. Obviously, I mean, China over the last couple of years has lost 50% of their hog population due to African swine fever. So they buy up a lot of farm land, a lot of farm fields. I think you said 11%. I think it's 11% of farmland, I think, is owned by China. I'm not 100% on numbers. It's been a little while since I read them. And then 9% land is owned by China as well. So it's a huge issue, and it kind of all ties in together. The issue that Lisa sees with a lot of this, being on the Armed Services Committee, is if you look at the location of the land China buys, a lot of it is either right up next to or very close to military bases. So there's a lot of concern there as to, how much farming you're doing in the desert in Nevada.
This is scary, and I don't want to get off on an emotional rabbit trail here. We don't have time for it, but we're in a scary time. And I'm sure this hasn't just taken place in the last 2 or 3 years. It's been going on for some time, and I just wondered how this got by our officials and our government officials. So you answered my question.
I'll go ahead real quick. Just how tricky it is to ban specific entities from buying land or having investments in America. Just as an example, I think Toyota dealerships have to be 25 or 50% owned through a Japanese company, through Japan as well. Obviously Japan isn't an adversary, but it's very tricky to try to thread that needle. So that's why I can't remember the name of the act right now, but introduced the Stop CCP Act, which was putting sanctions on them. There was another bill to just stop foreign adversaries across the board, which is China, Russia. There's a whole long list. There's another one. There's human rights sanctions against, but it all kind of ties in together. Does that help answer it? I can give you some more information too. I just sent you the stuff about it.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've concluded general public comments. I see no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. Is there anything further the board would like to discuss today?
Just a reminder that San Luis County Community Foundation has a grant out there for first responders. So any of the fire departments that we represent or ambulance services, there is a grant up to $2,500 for equipment needs. So make sure that everybody you work with is trying to apply for that, because the ones I've been talking to, they've already beat me to it. I'm telling them about it, and it's too late. We already applied. So the deadline on that is June 23rd.
It's a good point. Thank you, Bill. Anything further? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
A motion from Bill, support from Evans. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 2:01.